So the Jaguars are currently in their bye week, and this kind of gives us a little bit of time to kind of reflect on what the season has been. The Jaguars are currently 1-5. It's about what I don't know. It's about what really was expected nationally. Maybe locally, we were kind of hoping for a little bit more, but at the end of the day, brand new coach, brand new quarterback, a lot of new pieces. We also have young pieces, and just a completely different regime as well when it comes to also new GM, new OCs, new DCs, like new everything. So obviously there's going to be a transition period. Now, I kind of went through and I have a bunch of different takeaways from what I've had throughout this season that I kind of want to share with you guys. And I'd love to kind of hear your guys' feedback on that. One of my first takeaways is that it seems like the Jaguars were a little bit overhyped on a local aspect. And, from whether you're listening to different guys on the radio or just a lot of maybe even different writers locally, or even what like Urban Meyer and the social media team was kind of feeding us, where I think a lot of us, if we were to kind of predict our record right now, maybe some of us would have said, oh, we'd be 2-4, 3-3. Some people looked at September and it looked easy, this offseason. Obviously, as the season came up and as the season progressed, it's a little bit harder than what we may have thought. But I think people thought we were going to be a little bit better. But, the truth is, I think the social media team and everything and Urban Meyer, I think they did a great job when it comes to kind of thinking that we were going to win. And, a lot of that is like Urban Meyer kind of went out and said, look, this isn't a 1-2 or this isn't a 2-3 year project. We want to win right now. And I think that's kind of what you had to say. I mean, no coach, even in 2020, they were going to come out there and say, no, we're going to try to lose. We're going to lose. We're not going to be very good. Like, it's not really how it happens. But, now that we're sitting at 1-5, we're kind of seeing the team progress a little bit. We're just kind of seeing the team kind of grow to maturity, which kind of leads into my second point is that Urban has a huge learning curve, a big learning curve. Honestly, it was a lot bigger than I really saw it to be at first, just from everything. You know what I mean? From him coming into here and kind of building his staff. He had a little trouble with that when it comes to who he hired. Also, the free agency process was new to him. The draft was completely new as opposed to like recruiting, and then just even in OTAs when it comes to how you practice. The Jaguars were fined more than any other team in the NFL for different like infractions when it comes to OTAs, to training camp, to even in the season. Like we all knew what happened after the Cincinnati Bengals game. There's a lot of really ups and downs when it comes to Urban Meyer and a lot of roadblocks along the way. And it's a big transition because not only does he have to learn all the ins and outs of the NFL, but he has to actually learn how to be an NFL coach. You know what I mean? He has to learn the NFL game. Everything is new to him. Every single opponent that he plays against, he never played against that opponent before. And it's a tough thing. But I know from, my viewpoint, when I saw Urban Meyer at training camp practices, I really liked him. I mean, a lot of reports have come out there that said, oh, players do not like playing for Urban Meyer, like all these different things. But when I was sitting there at practice, I saw Urban Meyer pulling aside like third string players, guys that aren't going to make the 53-man roster, and he's working with them one-on-one and different stuff. I can't see a player sitting here and being upset that the head coach is working with him one-on-one. You know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not an NFL player. I never have been. I don't know, the best take on this, but it just seems like a player would probably appreciate that in my eyes, but maybe not. But I mean, Urban Meyer, huge learning curve. And obviously after this season and maybe even in this bye week, he's got to take a step back and kind of realize what he's done good, what he's done bad, what he wants out of his NFL team, and then kind of attack it, I guess, in a different way the next year. So he's obviously learning. A third takeaway from me is that Trevor Lawrence is the real deal. Obviously, we had sky-high expectations on Trevor Lawrence. Ridiculous expectations. Based on what he did at Clemson and all the generational talent tagline. And, we expected a lot from him. And really, it's been the tale of two seasons for him. During weeks 1 through 3, like he progressed a lot from weeks 4 through 6, than from weeks 1 through 3. From weeks 1 through 3, he had a 54% completion percentage, 669 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, to 7 interceptions with a 58 passer rating. And then weeks 4 through 6, 66% completion percentage. That's a 12% percentage completion jump. 796 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 94 passer rating average. So obviously the turnover ratio has kind of flipped. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. It doesn't look great, but the big thing is that he's not turning the ball over a lot. And a lot of these touchdowns, we're pounding the rock with James Robinson. Also, he's ran in a couple. So, that's a little bit different. But, you can just tell looking at him that, man, he's gotten a lot better and he's progressing like crazy. He's making throws, making plays that we've never seen anybody in a Jaguars uniform make. We've all been through the Blake Bortles and just a list of bad. I don't even want to go through them. We've seen the list of bad quarterbacks, and just being able to see Trevor Lawrence in here, man, what a breath of fresh air. And it's so exciting to know that, look, like, this is our guy. This is our guy as we look at the Dolphins panic to make quarterback moves. Even like Washington football team, Denver is in on Tua. All these different quarterbacks shaking around. And we can just sit back and look at them and say, that sucks. So that's kind of where we're at right now. My fourth takeaway is that the rookie class is still a question mark. The rookie class is so strange because when we went 1-15, I looked at, and with all the draft picks we had, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 2 fourth-round picks, the first pick in each round of the draft. I'm sitting here like, bad team, all these draft picks, these guys are going to have immediate impact. It hasn't really been that way. Trevor Lawrence has obviously played, and a lot of this stuff is injury. Travis Etienne got put on the IR in preseason. Tyson Campbell has been injured this whole entire time, and, he hasn't been a world beater since he's been in there. Walker Little hasn't played due to, both the tackles being healthy all year, which is, a good thing that we're not getting injured there. Andre Cisco, biggest question mark on the team. I don't know what's going on with him. I think he's healthy. I guess, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing with him, but we're not really getting a lot of clarity out of the coaching staff, so we'll see if he ever does play. J2 Fellaini played in 2 games, and he just wound up breaking his hand last game. And pregame warmups, he had a big old club on his hand last game. Really weird, really weird. Jordan Smith, 4th round defensive end, has been inactive the whole time. And then Luke Farrell. Luke Farrell's had the second most impact on this team. A tight end in the 5th round from Ohio State. He has 1 reception in all but 1 game this year. So it's weird to me. Obviously some of this is injury. Some of this is just, guys being in front of them. And I'm in no way writing off this draft class. I'm not doing that. But, you just look at it and it's like, a little weird, a little weird. And Tyson Campbell's a guy that I really want to see come back and hopefully play well because we need him bad, especially after the CJ Henderson thing went down. We need him bad, especially after the draft capital we invested in him. Number 33 overall pick. Need him, man, need him. Another takeaway, the offensive line has been the most impressive unit for me. And that's surprising because in a preseason, there were people out there that are like, we shouldn't be playing Trevor Lawrence. Behind this offensive line will ruin him and stuff like that. The offensive line has not been too bad. They've actually been protecting well. When you look at the offensive line, James Robinson in the run game is on pace for 1,300 yards and 14 touchdowns. And this offensive line has allowed 10 sacks this season. That's top half of the NFL when it comes to, lower half, whatever. The lower half and least amount of sacks. You compare 10 sacks to other teams. Broncos have 19 sacks. Titans have 20 sacks. The Chicago Bears with Justin Fields have 22 sacks. You know what I mean? So this, the offensive line is holding its own. Granted, Trevor Lawrence some of that is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is moving around the pocket really well, but this offensive line hasn't been a huge issue. There have been some inconsistencies, obviously, maybe at the right tackle spot, and there's been a little bit of injury on the interior with Brandon Linder and A.J. Cann going down, and even Ben Barch went down last game, so they're down to their 3rd right guard, but it hasn't been too bad in my eyes. Another takeaway is that the defense is a tale of 2 sides. Last year, the Jaguars were horrible on run defense. That was like a top priority, was getting this run defense, straightened up, and it has. The Jaguars and opposing rushers basically have 3.8 yards per carry they're averaging. That is tied for 5th best in the NFL. Run defense has been good. Pass defense, not so much. Pass defense has been terrible. 1,787 passing yards allowed. That's 31st in the NFL. 72.9% completion percentage. That's 31st in the NFL. 8 sacks allowed. We've gotten 8 sacks. That's also 31st in the league. Not good. Not good, man. It's, when it comes to the secondary has been covering very well, and the D line just isn't really getting home. It just hasn't been very good. We need more dogs out there. I don't know how we fix this. I mean, we're not getting any more players in. We just have to wait for free agency again, and we have to wait for the next another draft class. I'd like to see some more Jordan Smith, a 4th-round rookie. Just throw him out there for a game, see what he can do. I mean, why not? You know what I mean? The worst that can happen is he gets pushed around a little bit, and he has something to work on. You know what I mean? But I want to see him, but we'll see. Another takeaway is that I think this free agent class has been good. I've come away with the free agency class being good. As bad as the secondary has been, I think Rayshon Jenkins and Shaquille Griffin have been pretty much the lone bright spots out there right now. I think they're kind of holding their own. Also, obviously, when it comes to the run defense, Malcolm Brown, Roy Robertson Harris, G. Hard Ward are kind of helping out in that respect. And also the receiver end, Marvin Jones, 10-year NFL vet, leading receiver on our team. He's been extremely good. He's the go-to guy when you need a guy to make a catch in a crucial situation. He's going to make that catch. We saw our other 2 guys with DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault. They don't have sure hands. You know what I mean? They've dropped some pretty critical balls. That hasn't been Marvin Jones. And this kind of gets into my next turning point is Jamal Agnew. Jamal Agnew has been, in my opinion, one of the best free agent signings we've ever had. This guy's been really good. First of all, he exploded on the scene with his 2 touchdown returns in weeks 2 and 3, kick returns for touchdowns. One of them being a kickoff, one of them being a kick 6, where they attempted a 68 or something yard field, some ridiculous field goal. And then he returned it at the end of the half for a touchdown. It was awesome. So that's been awesome. And also, him as a receiver, I mean, he signed a 3-year, $14 million deal to be a kickoff return, punt return specialist. I'm like, what are we doing? This is a lot of money for that. And then once the offseason came, I was like, look, it's fine. We've never really had a solidified player in there. We've cycled guys like, D.D. Westbrook in there, Keelan Cole. We've had a bunch of different guys back there. Last year it was Chris Claybrooks. Never really solidified that position. Got Jamal Agnew in here, and they were even protecting Jamal Agnew in the preseason. They said he is too important for us to play because we need him during the season. And, he started off mainly just on special teams. Some injuries happened, and he kind of emerged. And now he's been playing receiver a lot, and he's been really good, man. I mean, first of all, he catches anything coming his way. He's had some critical catches on 3rd down. We saw a play against Cincinnati where he had a toe drag swag type of thing. And then, some of the throws he just had on 3rd down, they're throws that it's not like he's standing there, he hits him right there and he goes down. It's they have to put it in a position where, it's away from the defender, so he has to flip his body around and make the catches. And he's been doing that. He's been a beast. I've really liked Jamal Agnew, and I'm glad we have him locked down for another 2 years. But, he's been awesome. He's been, way more than anticipated. And then sticking on the special teams side, the kicking has been weird this year. Very, very weird. The Jaguars' first field goal they actually made was week 6 with Matthew Wright in London. They were 0 for 4 on field goals before then. Josh Lambo was cut because he was horrible. I mean, quite frankly, he was not very good. Obviously, he was hurt last year, finished the year on the IR. He was actually on the IR twice, I think. I think he got put on the IR, 3-week IR, came back and re-aggravated the first game he played. And then this year, I think it was just a mixture of just injury maybe, and then plus a little bit of mental. And that happens with kickers. I mean, we saw today Dustin Hopkins from the Washington football team got cut. And he's a guy that has been really good for them, but he's been missing kicks. And sometimes these guys, man, they just need factory resets when they do bad. Need to go to a new team, have no expectations, have no history with them, and then they can kind of play with, without anything in their mind. They're just kind of in there to make the job, and that's what happens with kickers, and that's kind of what happened here. We'll see what happens with Matthew Wright. Obviously, last game he killed it, 3 for 3 on field goals, 2 extra points. 11 points were accounted for out of our 23 points off of his right foot. Very important. Hopefully he can keep that up because, You know, we needed every single point that he made last week, and obviously kicking a game-winning field goal as time expired to break our 20-game losing streak. We needed it, and we got it, so shout out to him. Another takeaway is that we need more elite talent. You know, I mean, we have some good players places. I mean, Laviska Shenault, he's good. You know, Miles Jack, he's good. Roy Robertson-Harris, he's good. But we need more elite talent. I mean, the only elite talent I really see is that we have Trevor Lawrence is going to hopefully turn into that elite talent. I think James Robinson is up there. You know, I think he's probably top, at the very worst, top 10 in this league. I mean, he's just a baller. But outside of that, man, like, we need more elite guys. When you look at Super Bowl winning teams, they're not a team comprised of good players. They have at least 3, 4, 5 elite players. We don't have that yet. We need to find a way to get that. I don't know. We have a lot of money, so maybe whatever big free agents is out there, we can kind of go out and kind of grab. And obviously, we need to be doing a better job at drafting. But we need to get more elite talent in here if we want to really make a push, not only in the playoffs, but make a deep push in the playoffs. And we had that in 2017, and we had all pros. Jalen Ramsey was an all-pro. Calais Campbell was an all-pro. Sorry, I'm talking a little too fast. I tend to do that in videos. And then we had just some other players playing spectacular. We need more of that. And we have to find a way to get that. So that's another one. And my last takeaway before I end this long video, thank you guys all for staying around. If you're still here, drop a like. I would appreciate that. Helps out the channel. My last takeaway is that let's enjoy the season, man. Last year, we had the same exact record. We were 1-5, but I was miserable. I was openly miserable. You guys who watched my videos saw me. And I also didn't hold back. I let you guys know, look, I am rooting for this team to lose every single game. Lost some fans. It's cool. Some fans left and they came back because they were like, you know what, you're right. If we didn't, and I put this on Twitter, the 20-game losing streak sucked. It sucked. But the 15-game losing streak was the best thing that ever happened to this franchise because it enabled us to get Trevor Lawrence, and that is the leader, man. We've never had anybody like him in our locker room, and he just brings a different presence to our team, and I feel very lucky to have him. And you know, last year, I hated losing for us to lose, man. It sucked. I don't like rooting against this team, but when you want to get the number 1 overall pick, the margin of error is so slim. We saw the Jets. The Jets were 0-13. They win one game, and they drop out of that spot, and they gave us Trevor Lawrence on that platter. You know what I mean? It sucked. This year, let's win. I don't care. I mean, look, winning, we're not going to go to the playoffs. It's going to hurt our draft spot. I don't care. Win for the culture. You know, we don't have Doug Marrone. We have Urban Meyer, who's hopefully the future. We have Trevor Lawrence, the future quarterback of this team. You know, let's stack some wins. Let's build this culture. Let's build a winning culture. Obviously, it's not going to happen in one season, but I want these guys to have a taste of victory. And look, if we go, you know, 3-13, no, 3-14, it would be 5-10, 5-12. Man, my math is bad. I don't like this 17-game schedule, guys. It makes the mental gymnastics a lot harder. But regardless, man, we're going to lose, you know, higher up in the draft spot, but it doesn't matter as much anymore because we have our quarterback, and let's just hope we draft the right guys when we get there. So that's what it is, man. Jaguars are 1-5, but you know, let's enjoy the season for what it is. We're not going to win a lot of games. We're not. And you know, you guys see me. I'm not a moral victory guy, but I understand what we are. You know what I mean? If we put out a pretty decent... I mean, you guys watch all the games with me. I get pissed off by different things when we lose. I do. I don't like it. I sit here. I reflect on it for a few hours. I said, look, we played them close. We had our opportunities. We squandered them. Let's get them next week. We're going to win some, lose some. You know what I mean? And where the talent is right now, we're not super built to be able to, you know, go out there and stack victories. You know what I mean? What we're going to do, we might win a couple. We might, like last game against Miami. Miami was trying to give us that game, man. They had a bunch of bad coaching decisions, questionable calls, and we were able to capitalize on it. You know what I mean? We might need some more of that this year, and yeah, that's what it's going to be. But thank you guys for watching this video, man, and supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. I love making these Jaguar videos, and I hope you guys do appreciate them as well. If you're not already subscribed to me, please go ahead and subscribe. Also, join Relevant in the description down below. I'm going to be going to the Seattle game, so I'm not going to be live streaming this next game, which I should make that announcement next week. But Relevant is always popping. I do multiple shows on there per week. It's a big Discord type of app where we all kind of communicate with each other. So download that down below. Join Jaguars Fanatics, and also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at UCF_Jaguar. And with all that said, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy your bye week, and go Jags.